Hello students, Mr. John here with Chapter 11, Lesson 3, Part 2. We're still talking about unity and sectionalism. We're going to pick up right where we left off with Part 1. We're going to talk more about that growing sense of sectionalism and how it reached a boiling point when Missouri applied for statehood in 1819. Then we're going to get into a little bit of foreign policy. Let's take a look. Okay, so let's talk about Missouri statehood first. In 1819, the Missouri Territory, right here, they basically wanted to become a state. And this was a big problem because at this point in time, there were 11 free states and 11 slave states. That meant that there were 22 senators representing slave states and 22 senators representing free states, and that was a balance that they liked keeping. If Missouri, who was basically populated by Southern folk, that supported slavery, if that became a state, it would break that tie, and so that's the free states didn't want that. Things got heated, and there were worries that the Union was actually going to break all the way back in 1819 until Henry Clay came up with the Missouri Compromise. With this compromise, he said, all right, Missouri will become a slave state, and then Maine, who's going to be applying for statehood, will come as a free state and will keep the balance at 12 and 12. So that solved that problem just because coincidentally Maine was applying for statehood not far behind Missouri. So that worked out. Another part was they determined how they would fix this problem in the future by making this line here, this line of the Missouri Compromise, and they said, all right, so Missouri is going to be a slave state. Maine is going to be a free state, and from here on out, the Louisiana Territory, if a state applies for statehood below this line, it will be a slave state, and if it applies for statehood above the line, it will be a free state. So that's the Missouri Compromise, two parts. They get one state each, slave and free, and then from then on out, it's according to who's above the line and below the line. So that's how Henry Clay came up with it. Problem solved for now. All right, let's hop into foreign policy and foreign affairs. After the War of 1812, relations between Britain and the United States became a bit more reasonable. For example, in the 1817 Rush-Bagot Agreement, both countries agreed to limit the amount of warships on the Great Lakes. The Convention of 1818 established a border between the Louisiana Territory and Canada, and both sides agreed to keep that border unarmed. It would be a peaceful border, an unguarded border, just like, well, large portions of the border now between the U.S. and Canada are undefended. Secretary of State at the time, John Quincy Adams, also negotiated the rights for U.S. citizens to settle in what is now Oregon. See, the Oregon Territory was initially like a shared territory between a number of nations, including, if memory serves, Russia, the United States, Spain, and Canada. So it kind of was communally owned by all of them. Now, relations with Spain are a whole other matter. Spain owned Florida, but there were chunks of northern Florida that the U.S. claimed was theirs as a result of the Louisiana Purchase. Spain disagreed, of course, and then there was the matter of the Seminole Indians. The Seminoles were a tribe of natives living in Spanish Florida that would systematically make raids into Georgia and then retreat back into Spanish Florida, so other people's country, so they couldn't be chased down. The U.S. ended up sending General Andrew Jackson. You know, Andrew Jackson, no cares. He sent him to go deal with these attacks. No one gave Jackson permission to pursue the Seminoles into Florida, but he did that anyways, even going so far as to capture a number of Spanish forts along the way. Still, no one stopped him. Secretary Adams didn't think Spain would risk war, so he didn't stop Jackson, and he just wanted the conflict to end. He was right. In the Adams-Onis Treaty made in 1819, Spain ceded or just gave up Florida. So Andrew Jackson just kind of invaded Florida, and everyone just went along with it, and then Spain had to give it up. He gave up what was left of Florida to the United States and gave up their claims in Oregon under the condition that the U.S. recognized Texas as belonging to Spain. We're going to talk about Texas in the future. Now, Spain, not going to go well for Spain. They didn't have a good decade. In 1810, a priest in Mexico by the name of Miguel Hidalgo led a rebellion for an independent Mexico. He championed racial equality and land redistribution. Hidalgo was captured and executed by Spain, but the damage was done. Mexico won its independence in 1821, so it took a while, but he had spread the idea of independence and it stuck. Down in Spanish South America, things were not good for Spain either. Simón Bolívar, the George Washington of South America, led the rebellion down there. By 1824, Spain had lost basically all of its holdings in North and South America. So Simón Bolívar ends up leading sort of this coalition of multiple Spanish colonies in South America, and there's a lot of fighting. It's pretty violent, but they end up being able to defeat Spain, and now they're a bunch of free countries. It's kind of a mess, though, and I don't know if we talk about that more in the future or not. A little broken link here. Oh, I know what this broken link is. I'll fix it. It's a picture of South America, and if you want to learn more about the South American Revolution and Simón Bolívar, all you have to do is click on this picture. That's what that little box is. This is linked. Alright, in 1822, four major European powers, France, Austria, Russia, and Prussia, got together and discussed a plan to help Spain get her American colonies back. Why, you ask? Well, it's not good when colonies start rebelling all willy-nilly, and those other countries had colonies they didn't want rebelling. It's just bad for the established powers, like France, Austria, Russia, and Prussia. This possibility of increased European involvement in the United States' own backyard worried then-President Monroe, so he issued a statement on December 2nd, 1823, saying that the U.S. wouldn't get involved in any European wars and would not mess with any European colonies still existing in the Americas. He also made a rather bold statement that North and South America are henceforth to be considered not to be considered subject for future colonization by any European powers. He basically drew a line in the sand and said, anywhere in North or South America, don't go there. They're under our protection, and this includes South America, these new nations in South America. This policy is known as the Monroe Doctrine, and it was really a threat, and a policy that would be followed by the U.S. for decades to come. So basically, the U.S. said, we're going to stay out of your business, Europe, and you best stay out of any business in this hemisphere, North or South America. Stay out of our backyard, and we'll stay out of your backyard. It was a pretty bold statement. But, you know, the U.S. had won against Britain twice and bullied Spain around, so they were living high on their horses right then. So that's it. You have some questions here. Please answer with complete sentences. Why did Missouri applying for statehood cause such a problem? And your next question, what was the Monroe Doctrine? Oh, hey. We just went over that. And we went over this Missouri statehood thing being a problem. Something about balance here, and something about staying out of each other's businesses here. Give me some complete sentences. Tell me what those things mean. It's worth 10 points. Alright, everyone have a wonderful day. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to shoot me Canvas messages or whatever. Have a good one. We're getting close to the break. I'll see you tomorrow.